Hi, it's Mike with the Portage County Safety Council. I'm here with my friend Carrie Gray from the Ohio BWC. Carrie, welcome back to the podcast.
Hi, I'm excited to be here again.
So, Carrie, we're partnering up again this year, just like we did for Ohio Safety Congress last year. We're picked the top 10 best speakers we could find at Safety Congress, said, hey, come do an interview with us on Zoom. Let's talk about your presentation and just give people a little snapshot of what that's like. But before we get into today's speaker, which is my favorite out of all top 10, I'll have to say, but I'm going to save that for later. Tell us a little bit about Ohio Safety Congress.
Right. Well, we're really excited. Ohio Safety Congress is going to be back live and in person. There is going to be a little bit of a hybrid. So some of the sessions you'll be able to see virtually, but over 100 sessions are going to be live and in person. The Congress is running from March 8th through the 10th. So it's 3 full days. The first 2 days, which are Wednesday and Thursday, are going to have a lot of different sessions over those 2 days, and then workshops primarily on that Friday the 10th. We're at the Greater Columbus Convention Center, downtown Columbus, and like I said, we could not be more excited to be able to be back live and in person. And I'm really excited we have Scott here today too, because we've all heard about how good a speaker Scott is.
Now, I got to meet Scott back 5, 6, 7 years ago at Ohio Safety Congress. And I'll say his presentation was absolutely life-changing. And I've been reeling about it. He just came out with a new book, which I'm sure he's going to talk about, which I'm excited. I got my own copy right here. Let me give a little shout out in case anyone sees the video. Can't see it. There it is. All right. So we're going to talk about this. So Scott, you are presenting at Safety Congress on stress and healing the human brain. Can you give us like a big, just 30,000 foot overview of what you're going to be talking about?
Right. And let me just kind of explain. I'm actually an attorney and an HR guy. Okay, so it actually kind of makes sense because my son was born with Asperger's autism in 1993, Michael, and he's my co-author on this thing. And that was the infancy stages really of understanding neurology. And so all the advice we got from our $450 an hour psychiatrists, I later discovered was wrong. And we were told, well, that's just the way he is. You can't rewire the human brain. He's going to be on medication. He might not even go to college. Well, I started doing my own research, and I discovered there's a huge battle between the practitioners and the neuroscientists. And so one thing I can do as a lawyer is I know how to research. It's kind of funny. I'll work on different teams, legal teams every so often, and I always get stuck with the research because I like it. And if it's there, I'll find it. I'm just kind of anal retentive. And I started discovering all this stuff. And so I took my son, Michael, in 2006 to get his brain scan, a nuclear SPECT brain scan, which is very different than an MRI. An MRI will look inside your brain and look for tears and things. It's structural. So an MRI actually looks the same on a live person as a dead one. And this is going to watch your brain think. And his brain was a mess. So we started doing some new therapies, changed diet, all this stuff. 2008, we went back and it was about 10, 15% better. My wife at the time said, okay, as long as we're there, you're getting scanned. You're nuts. I had blazing post-traumatic stress disorder. So we changed life, followed the neuroscientists and not the practitioners. We both went back for follow-up brain scans in August of 2020, and then COVID drove. My brain is about 85% rewired. My obsessive compulsive disorder is completely cured. My son's brain, Michael, with Asperger's, is about 75% better. So not only was he able to go on and go to college, but he graduated from Ohio State with honors, just graduated from Roosevelt University in Chicago with his master's with a 3.91, and is now getting ready to go off to get his PhD in psychology. So this is what really gets me these days. I am so excited, get to talk to you, get to talk to this about at the Safety Congress, and we're actually going to do 2 back-to-back sessions, all about the brain and what we need to do to repair it.
Now, in your presentation that I've seen in the past, you take these brain scans, you put them up there in slides, and it's almost like these. There's colors to it, but to me, this is how I think there's like these black holes on the scan. right? And that's just how I
Mhm.
think. And I know I could be incorrect into the actual scan and what it looks like, but to me, it was just like these black holes where these parts of your brains are not firing or lighting up. I don't know if I'm communicating this the right way,
Yeah.
but you can literally see the mental health conditions that you suffer through these brain scans as you begin to
Right.
apply these principles that you're learning from the neurologists and the Amen Clinic and all these things. You go back after a couple of years and you see 15% gone. You know, I talked about like taking a dry erase board and taking your finger and taking it. These things start to shrink and disappear. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Because I think it's the most brilliant thing. And that's why people have to come in person to Columbus to see your presentation. They have to see this. They have to get your book. The visual is just priceless. But if you could elaborate that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. It is amazing to me. I have been to dozens and dozens of mental health presentations. I've read several mental health books, and some are better than others, I think. But I've never seen a presentation, except for Dr. Amen himself, where they're talking about mental health, but they're not talking about the brain. This is like talking about osteoporosis, and we're not talking about your bones. And so we start, that's all mental. It's your brain. And I'll tell you, that's what really gives people hope. If they really understand how the brain works, then there are a lot of things you're not going to do during the day because it's killing your brain. And we all do this. I did that for years, and it destroyed my brain and took years to build it back. But what happens is, and distress, chronic, ongoing distress is your number one health threat. It is actually 40% worse than smoking. Oh, it's horrendous. It will give you heart disease faster. Why? Because the high blood pressure and the red blood cells are going to smash into your heart. Now, when your car won't start, or when your computer won't start, okay, you're going to release stress. That's chronic, or that's going to be adrenaline and cortisol. But when you get bullied by another human being, you reduce the amount of cortisol and adrenaline. Because your body knows that human might kill you. Your computer won't. 20%, now this is really critical, 20% of all that cortisol and adrenaline is going to go to about 2 to 3% of your body. That's your brain. That is very disproportionate. Your brain uses 30% of all the energy you consume. And so if you think about it, that's what's absolutely killing our brain today. So that's how I got mine. My son was born with his. I got mine. And so what do? Well, I show people my scan. I show people, according to my wife, exactly how nuts I was. Okay. And I don't want to refer to other people like that, but that's how she described me. And I'll tell you, I told her I don't need a scan. Well, it's like you've adapted and adapted and adapted. You think this is normal behavior. And then I saw my scan. And every mental disorder, like obsessive compulsive disorder, that's the part of your brain that got hurt. So picture your pituitary gland, your gut is going off. So you're releasing massive amounts of adrenaline and cortisol in your pituitary gland. That's like Fountain Square in Cincinnati. So it's spraying all this cortisol and adrenaline. Your brain feels like soft room temperature butter. So it burns very quickly. Okay. So I had sprayed enough massive cortisol and adrenaline all over my brain. So it was all burned. So just give you an example right here. This is your corpus callosum. You don't have to know that. There's no test later. Okay. But this is, and I like to refer to this as basically the bridge. Connects your right and left hemisphere. So as you have a thought on the right side, cross over that bridge to the left and back and forth. And I like to compare this to horses. Horses do not have a corpus callosum. So what happens? If you cover up the left eye of a horse and get to know it, and then cover up the right eye and uncover the left eye, that horse won't know you because those thoughts will not travel. They're not bilateral. Okay, we are. Now picture this. I had burned my brain so badly that all of this corpus callosum, all right through here, was inflamed. And I mean, it's your brain. It is literally inflamed. Swollen ankle. So when electrical pulse goes across, it gets stuck. That is obsessive compulsive disorder. Can't get off it, can't get off it, can't get off it, can't get off it. Okay. And I'll tell you, I got very good long-term memory. My long-term memory showed up, which you think is good. No, I'm still ticked off about things that happened 30 years ago. That's not normal. Okay. That's not normal. So I show people these scans and I say, this is what this is. This is what depression looks like. This is what apprehension looks like, panic attacks, anxiety. Okay, I show them all this stuff, and then I show them, here's what my brain looks like in 2020 and today. Okay, the obsessive compulsive disorder is gone. It is gone. It's totally healed. It's totally rewired. And what people don't understand is you grow about 100,000 new brain cells every month. And every one of those brain cells will grow 10 to maybe 100 connections. You could grow 500,000 or 1 million new connections every month. And that's why people recover from strokes. So this is how, yes, only about 20% of everybody out there who is taking medication, psychiatric medication, is on the right medication. That's about it. So I'm not anti-medication. What I'm saying is, look at what I am showing you here. These are my authenticated SPECT scans. These are the photographs. And here's my son, Michael, who was born that way. And you can instantly see, just like you're saying, you compare these scans, they are so much better. And so that's what really gets me. I see so many mental health issues these days. And the American Psychological Association says we are in absolute crisis mode now. Okay. We're up to 38,000 physical assaults in American workplaces every week, 2.5 murders every work day. Okay. We've doubled the amount of mass shootings since 2018. And it doesn't mean somebody is schizophrenic or bipolar. It means this isn't normal. And so there's hope. There's hope. If you're on psychiatric medications, which about 80% of everybody who has prescription drug coverage is, why wouldn't you also heal your brain? But you can't do that if we're not talking about the brain. So I'm trying to get the message out to as many people as I can. And I'll tell you, I got folks that come up after sessions and they're just crying because they've had OCD for 20 years. They've had depression for their whole life. They've had anxiety. And I'm like, I understand. Why? Because I was there. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you exactly how the brain works in layman's terms. And if you understand how a car engine works, you understand how the brain works. Okay. So I get real excited because you can start turning around your life and start sleeping better, which is a sign of a healthy brain, 6 months to a year.
Wow.
It can help. Yeah. Amazing stuff, I think.
And you mentioned this, you mentioned adrenaline and cortisol. And if I'm not mistaken, when I first heard your presentation a handful of years ago, you said it's like, I'm going to put in my own language, some stuff I've researched, like mirror neurons in our brain.
Oh, the mirrors. Yeah.
And they, every time we watch a movie with adventure or some kind of horror flick, our brain thinks it's happening to us, and those mirror neurons picks it up and it says, oh no, it's happening to us. And it kind of describes things like phantom pain. We won't get in all that, but our body starts to release chemicals to prepare us for survival just from watching a movie. And here we are, watching Netflix, shoving popcorn in our face. And you said back in the day, we'd run from wolves or fight wolves, that whole fight or flight thing. But that same adrenaline's kicking in, but we're sitting there stuffing our face with popcorn and ice cream, watching Netflix. And that thing is stimulating us. We have these things constantly in our face all the time. Our phones are, I laugh about this, Scott, and I think you would find this maybe humorous. I don't know, hopefully not grotesque, but I went to a popular wing place in our region. And at the urinal, there was like a TV screen. And I'm like, do I not have a foot of space where I don't have to be sold something? I mean, advertisements, video, sound, you walk by you're in a grocery store, you walk by, the cereal aisle and there's a Cinnamon Toast Crunch commercial or something going on in the back. You're like, I first realized I was doing this because I love coffee and I'm probably a coffee addict. And I remember I was in a hurry to go to a meeting one time and I stopped at McDonald's. Drive-thru was busy, so I ran in store and they had this LED screen up there and it had this chocolate river of coffee beans floating down and this glorified angelic coffee McCafe cup coming through the screen. And I started salivating. I'm like, I'm Pavlov's dogs. I'm like, we're getting constant stimulation, right? And so people are saying, well, this mental health has been around. I'm like, I don't know if I agree with that. I think there's so much stimulation from technology and modern life. And you're right, we're not burning off. Most of us aren't active, or we're not working out. Right. So how much does modern technology have, and what role does it play in our mental health issues in America right now?
Oh, absolutely overwhelming. Tremendous. And there's a guy, Dr. Jonathan Haidt, Haidt, and he's with NYU. He's a social psychologist. Okay. And oh my gosh, this is one of his things right now. Let me clue you in. The number 2 cause of death for kids under the age of 30 is suicide. And I'll tell you, this is getting terrible. So what's happening with our kids? This is happening to our kids. Do you know that in today's Wall Street Journal, there's more information in there than someone in the 1800s would have gotten their whole life? Okay. Now think about this. You go online. I'll tell you, I'm with you. I can't get away from advertising. Oh my gosh, I just want to give my brain a rest. And I go online to research things and I get pop-ups. I hate pop-ups. I hate it. You can save 15%. Go away. I'll pay you 15% to leave me alone. Okay. It's just, no, it's too much for your brain. It's too much. And I also understand for kids in particular, young men do not get their frontal lobes, their logical brain, fully developed until they're like 28 years old. Okay. That's why it's so much cheaper to insure a driver who's 29, 30, 31 than somebody who is 23. Okay. And so ladies, you get yours about 25, 26 years old. Okay. So women really do mature faster. Okay. But there's so much stuff. And now what's happening with TikTok, with Instagram, all of this body shaming, all of this is what you should look like. This is what you should be. Yeah, if you're anorexic, okay, if something's wrong with you. So all of these pressures are coming to these kids, and this cyberbullying, okay? I don't know if you saw that this guy in Ohio just got sentenced because he was sexually cyberbullying and blackmailing some young teenager, and the teenager went and killed himself. Okay.
Yeah, actually, Scott, that happened right in my backyard. It was a sextortion case. My friend coaches in that high school, and we have a lot of our friends' kids that attend that high school, and it was really traumatic. I live like 5 minutes from there. Traumatic for our community.
Yeah.
Took pictures of him. His parents came out and said, we need to talk about this because we want to save other kids. Literally took pictures of him in compromising positions. And they say a lot of these people do it overseas. They're overseas pretending to be teenagers. Oh, yeah. And
you wouldn't know.
He was an athlete, popular, intelligent.
Yeah.
So not to cut you off there, but that was right in my backyard. It's a serious issue. It's an epidemic.
And you kind of see my whole thing here is I carry books with me everywhere I go. And I was at the post office, and this woman was telling me that she was having this issue with someone gave her grandson a cigarette to smoke. It was laced with something, messed him up something terrible. I said, oh man, I'll tell you right now, you got to go get a brain scan for this person from the Amen clinics. And I opened up one of my packages I was going to mail to somebody. And I said, here, you got to take this and you got to read this like right now. Okay, you got to get on that boy's brain right away. Because understand, you can repair it. But in the first part of 2020, before COVID, the American Psychological Association said we are on the brink of disaster because we have a lot of stressors in our life. But the APA actually commissions the Harris poll. They've been commissioning the Harris poll since 2007. What is really stressing out Americans? Because I don't want you to think distress or eustress. Think chemical management. Always think chemical management. So if I work with a bully, I'm going to release 3 times as much cortisol and adrenaline in my body. You're not going to be able to stand that. Okay. It's going 20%, that's going to go to your brain. Okay. And understand, we have 5 times more soldiers who are back here in the States killing themselves than got killed in battle. Now think about that. It's safer to to order our soldiers into battle than it is for them to come home and be alone with their gun. And I always hear people say, oh, that's just crazy. They've damaged their brain. Okay. Junior Seau, the all pro Hall of Fame. I bumped into Junior Seau in a airport once, and I thought it was a Greek god. I'm like, oh God, this guy looks superhuman. He was like a foot taller than me. I'm this broad. He's this broad. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's a mutant. He'll try to kill himself first time, failed because the muscles in his chest saved him from his car crash. So he just shot himself later. That's a damaged brain. And so, oh no, the pressures that people get. I was going to say the American Psychological Association year after year goes to the Harris poll. Number one stressor. You spend more time at work than any place else. 75 to 80% of all Americans feel like they're being bullied at work. Our environments are not safe. People bully you. And that's your number one stressor. And if it's not that, it's finances. And every year they flip. Then COVID came. And COVID pushed us over the edge. And this Dr. Haidt, he has studied this. And he said, oh yeah, he said, our suicide rate and our depression rate for our kids really exploded when everybody got one of these. Now, this is like a gun. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? It can be a very good thing, but what if you can't control it? It's a car. Car, good thing. Car kills a lot more people than guns. Is a car a good thing? Oh, it's a great thing, but not if you can't control it. And that's the same thing with this. And so, and this is affecting adults too. Okay. I mean, I'll tell you, I got clients I'm coaching that big out. They've got all kinds of problems. Go home, curl up in a ball. And of course, now we say, oh, they're mental. No. If you break your ankle, fix the ankle before you go to therapy. If you've broken or damaged your brain, like I did, okay, then you repair the brain and all this other therapies work. This is why anger management doesn't work. You got a damaged brain, okay? So we're going to talk about your feelings. And of course, the person, their brain is on fire. I don't want to talk about feeling like I kill you. Okay, that's not normal. And you kind of see, we got everything back asswards. What I've learned in the last 20 years, and I'll tell you right now, I'm not a doctor, thank God, okay? Because I'll tell you, the researchers, they're the ones that are finding this stuff. They wanted to put Louis Pasteur in jail because the doctors, oh, we're not killing our patients. What do you mean germs? Well, I can't see them. Well, guess who was right? Okay. And now it's the neuroscientists. And I will tell you right now, I have 8 banker's box. The book has 250-ish pages, originally had 457 citations. Because I'll tell you, I'm going to get challenged on everything, but I'll tell you right now, look, I'll show you my brain and I'll show you what it looks like now. That is the proof in the pudding. And I ask people, which brain would you want? And so, no, you're absolutely right. We've got all these things. And it's not just that, it's our diet. Oh my gosh, 25% of Americans eat fast food 2 or 3 times a week. No, my wife's an x-ray tech. I just love this. My wife's an x-ray tech at Children's Hospital, loves her job, great place and everything. And parents come in and they say, you know, if you do a good job here, we're going to go to McDonald's. Why don't you just kick them in the groin? That would be so much kinder. Smack them. Don't. McDonald's is not food. Drink their coffee.
Oh, Scott.
Get coffee and water. That's okay. That I'll tell you, I've got a whole section in there, just to give you an idea. If you ate an orange in 1960 when I was born, okay, to get the same amount of vitamin A in that orange, you would have to eat 8 oranges today. 8. Our food is not food. And so I am on it. What I do for my brain, that's what we talk about in the book. And we're going to talk in this session. I'm going to show you how you damage your brain. And we all do things every day that creates way too much cortisol and adrenaline. And if having depression, anxiety, OCD, post-traumatic stress disorder didn't motivate you, if it didn't motivate you to fix that, In 2018, we discovered, oh my gosh, cortisol causes Alzheimer's. Do you want Alzheimer's? And so now I'm not, there's other things that cause Alzheimer's, but I will tell you right now, if you're not taking care of your brain in today's society where we're so overloaded with so much stuff, and I eat my salads, I eat a good diet. I still take 2 packets of vitamin and mineral packets every day, the same ones they give to the NFL football players. So I'll tell you right now, this is serious business. So this session is for anybody who has a brain and wants to take care of it.
That's awesome, Scott. I love how passionate it just is coming right out, how passionate you are about the topic.
Yeah.
And I think folks are going to really get a lot about, just all the changes that can be made and the things that we can control and the things that we can do. Just to wrap it up, is there one thing that we can leave with folks that are out there listening that they can work on before, and then they're ready and ready for more items when they get to Congress and hear your session? One thing that comes to the top of your mind we should focus on?
Well, I'll tell you right now. The one thing, I start the book this way and end the book this way. Okay. It's all about hope. It's hope. And by the time I get to people, I'm coaching them, and they just don't have any hope. I've been dealing with this for years. And so I will tell you right now, all the things we're going to talk about, if it's good for your heart, good for your brain. And with your brain, you're going to feel it right now. Okay. Your heart is not going to be able to repair itself. Your brain will. So there's hope. If you have OCD, if you have autism, this is not a cure for autism, but I will tell you, I've had folks right away that, oh, my grandson, my granddaughter has autism, and we just don't know what to do. I said, I tell you exactly what to do. Okay, here's some therapies that you want to start. Here's what you want to do with the water. Here's what you want to do with the vitamins and minerals. Well, he has a good diet. I don't care. There is no good diet. Unless you're growing everything in your own backyard, okay, and do not eat the organic crap because that will poison your brain. 20% of all that's going to go to your brain. So sum it up. Just because you have a mental condition right now doesn't mean you have to live with one for the rest of your life. And if you are on medication, maybe you won't need as much later. Maybe you won't need it later. And I'll tell you, I've sent 43 people in the last 12 years to go get nuclear brain scans, SPECT scans. Every single one of them came back hot, just like me. And I'll tell you, the vast majority, the people who get religion and the people who do their meditation and they drink their water and all this stuff, so much better. But nobody ever told them. Oh, there's hope for everybody, and for you. And if I can do it, anybody can.
Scott, that's amazing. We're running out of time here. There's just so much. They just got to come. It's going to come to Ohio Safety Congress. And I could listen to you for literally all day to talk about this because there's so much things we could go back. I eat this stuff up. I love it. So if someone wants to reach out to you for more information, I know you got free stuff. You got a website, you got a book. How do we find you out there?
It's easy. Go to scottwarrick.com, SCOTTWARRICK, or just Google me. Scott Warrick. My website will come right up. I have completely redesigned it. If you go look, you can go look at the books there. One place to go look on the website that's really good is to go look at the free stuff. I have free resources. I want to give this stuff away. Okay. Look under the Lunch and Learns. I've got all kinds of classes there on the human brain. You can read about all 3 of my books there. There's all this information. I think everything these days is digital. And so I put everything out there. I'm easy to find. And I'll tell you right now, if I'm running into folks, I got 2 or 3 people, they're going to finish reading the book. And then this is a big part of my coaching practice. If somebody's having problems at work, well, we got this problem person. If you have a problem person at work, they're brain damaged.
Mm-hmm.
They just have brain damage like I did. That's very common. 80-90% of everybody does. Okay. So guess what? I'm going to work with you on your communication skills and things. But we're going to work on your brain. Now, 43 of these people were really bad. So guess what? You want a trip. You're a brain scan. Okay. And every one of them came back and they're like, oh my God, this is really bad. And I said, oh yeah, that's really bad. That's really bad. You know what? You can fix it. You can't fix your heart. This stuff destroys your heart. Only your liver and your brain will repair itself. So go to scottwarrick.com. I love it when people go and they download videos and they watch stuff. I really, really, really want people to focus on their brain. That nothing else matters. You could lose your legs. You can't lose your brain. So, oh yeah, I post tons of stuff, and we're always updating, always updating.
And I will say this, you're one heck of an HR and employment law consultant as well.
Thank
So
you.
I know you're so passionate about this that you're not even mentioning that stuff. I've sat through some of your employment law stuff and I was like, I can't believe we work within the system, but that's a whole nother podcast, whole nother time.
Yeah.
So guys,
Well, it
go
all
check
ties
out
together.
Yes, go check out Scott Warrick's website. Go get his book. I'm going to post a link to Amazon in the show notes. I'm going to post a link to Ohio Safety Congress. Go look up his session. Make sure you sign up for it. It's going to be amazing. To everybody out there, thanks for listening to this. And take what Scott said. If you can't make it to Congress, start applying these in your personal life and at work as much as possible. But everyone out there, thank you for listening and be safe.